I found the hotel receipt inside my daughter's backpack. Not in my husband's jacket pocket, not folded inside his wallet, not hidden in the car, under a seat, or shoved into some drawer he thought I would never open. Inside my daughter's backpack. It was tucked between a crumpled spelling test, a broken purple crayon, and a museum permission slip I was supposed to sign before Monday. That was where 8 years of marriage began to fall apart. My daughter Emma was 9. She collected rocks from the driveway because she said each one had a different personality. She apologized to furniture when she bumped into it. She still believed her father knew everything, fixed everything, and could make any bad day better just by walking through the door. That made the receipt worse, because it didn't only show me what David had done. It showed me where he was willing to hide it. It was Sunday night, the kind of quiet Sunday that feels heavy before the week even begins. Emma was upstairs brushing her teeth and talking to herself in the mirror about whether dragons would make good pets. David was in the living room watching highlights from a game he claimed he didn't care about. I was at the kitchen table, cleaning out Emma's backpack. Every parent knows that backpack. Snack wrappers, half-finished worksheets, library books you swear were already returned, tiny notes from school that somehow hold the power to ruin Monday morning if you miss them. I pulled out her spelling folder first, then her lunchbox, then a drawing of our family. Emma had drawn herself in the middle, holding both of our hands. Above us, in bright yellow marker, she had written, "Best family ever." I smiled before I even meant to. Then I reached into the front pocket and felt paper. Thin. Folded twice. Not school paper. A receipt. The first thing I saw was the hotel name. The Grand Meridian Hotel, downtown. 1 room, 1 night, late checkout, champagne, 2 breakfasts. I stared at the paper for so long, the words stopped looking real. Then I saw the name, David Morrison. My husband. The date was Friday, 2 days earlier. The night he told me he was helping his brother move furniture. You're listening to the Eris Files. Every betrayal leaves a file. At first, my mind tried to save him. That's what love does when it panics. It starts building excuses before the truth can finish speaking. Maybe it was for work. Maybe his brother stayed there. Maybe David paid for someone else. Maybe there was some boring, ordinary explanation that didn't involve my husband renting a hotel room while I was home, helping our daughter practice multiplication tables. Then I read the room service details. 2 champagne flutes, chocolate strawberries, rose petal turn down. Rose petal turn down for moving furniture? David laughed from the living room, a normal laugh. The kind that belonged to the man I thought I knew. I folded the receipt again and placed it flat on the table. Then I looked at Emma's drawing. Best family ever. My hands went cold. "Mom?" Emma called from upstairs. "Can I read 1 chapter?" I was about to answer when I noticed writing on the back of the receipt. Not printed, handwritten. "Thank you again, Mr. Morrison. We hope she enjoyed the surprise." She? Not brother. Not client. Not business partner. She... I put the receipt in my pocket before Emma came downstairs. She appeared in the kitchen doorway with wet hair, dinosaur pajamas, and toothpaste still in one corner of her mouth. "Did you sign the museum slip?" I blinked at her. "What?" "The museum one." "Oh, yes, I'll sign it." She tilted her head. Are you okay? That almost broke me. Children don't need words like betrayal, affair, or divorce. They know when the air changes. They feel it before anyone explains it. I forced a smile. I'm okay, sweetheart. Go pick your book. She ran back upstairs. I stayed at the kitchen table, listening to her footsteps, trying to understand how a hotel receipt had ended up in her backpack. That question hurt almost as much as the receipt itself. Why there? David had a wallet, a briefcase, a car, an office, 1,000 places to hide something. But somehow, his secret had ended up beside our daughter's spelling words. I walked into the living room. David was on the couch with one arm stretched across the back cushion, remote in hand, completely relaxed. "Everything okay?" he asked. I stared at him just a second too long. Then I said, "Emma needs her permission slip signed." He nodded without looking away from the TV. "Sure, I'll do it later." Later. David's favorite place to put anything uncomfortable. Bills, apologies, hard conversations, me. I went back to the kitchen and opened my laptop. I didn't confront him that night. Not yet. I needed to know how much of my life had already been rewritten behind my back. First, I checked our bank account. Nothing. No Grand Meridian Hotel, no room service, and no champagne. Then I checked the credit card. Still nothing. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. Because the receipt existed, and receipts don't care if you are ready. I checked his business card next. I only had access because David once asked me to organize expenses during tax season and never changed the login. There it was. Grand Meridian Hotel, Friday, $486.72. Marked as client accommodation. I sat back in the chair. Client accommodation. A lie wearing a suit. I clicked the charge, and a digital receipt opened. Same room, same champagne, same late checkout. But this version had one detail the paper receipt didn't. Guest notes. Anniversary package. Our anniversary was in September. This was March. I took screenshots of everything. The hotel receipt, the business card charge, the guest notes, the date, the amount. Then I made a folder on my desktop and named it one simple word. File. That was all I could handle. One word. One place to put the truth. That night, after Emma fell asleep, I asked David about Friday. Not directly. Not with the receipt in my hand. I wanted to hear the lie before I showed him the proof. He was sitting in bed, scrolling through his phone, when I said, "How did moving go?" He didn't look up. What? Your brother. Friday night. The furniture. Oh, fine. Took forever. What did you move? There was a pause so small I might have missed it if I hadn't been listening for it. A couch mostly. Some boxes. What kind of couch? Now he looked at me. What kind of couch? I shrugged. I don't know. Big? Sectional? He smiled a little, just enough to make me feel silly if I let him. Why are you interrogating me about furniture? As usual, answering a question with a joke. Make the other person feel dramatic for noticing the door is locked because that was David's gift. I was just curious. He went back to his phone. Gray one, heavy as hell. Gray, heavy. A fictional couch had more details than our marriage did at that moment. I turned off the lamp. David leaned over and kissed my shoulder. I wanted to move away. I didn't. I lay there in the dark, eyes open, listening to him breathe like nothing in the world had changed. The next morning, after David left for work and Emma went to school, I called his brother. I hated myself before the phone even rang. Paul answered on the third ring. "Hey, Sarah, everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Quick question. Did David help you move furniture on Friday?" Silence. Not much, but enough. "Friday?" "Yes." "No. He came by last month to help with some garage shelves. But Friday? No." My stomach dropped. Oh, maybe I misunderstood. "Is everything okay?" I looked at the receipt on the table. "Yes," I lied. "Everything's fine." After we hung up, I sat there for almost 5 minutes without moving. Then I opened the file and added a note. Paul confirmed David was not with him. The sentence looked clean. The feeling behind it wasn't. The second clue came from Emma, and I hated that most of all. I never wanted her inside this, not even near it. But that afternoon, while she was eating apple slices at the kitchen counter, she said, "Dad told me not to let you clean my backpack." I froze. "What?" She kept chewing. "On Friday, he said there was a surprise in there." My throat tightened. "A surprise?" She nodded. "He put something in the front pocket when he picked me up from Grandma's. He said it was for later." I gripped the edge of the counter. David had picked Emma up from my mother's house on Friday afternoon. Then he went to the hotel. At some point between his lie and our front door, he had used our daughter's backpack as a hiding place. Maybe he panicked. Maybe he thought I wouldn't check it until Monday. Maybe he simply forgot. But Emma remembered. Children always remember the thing adults wish they wouldn't. "What kind of surprise?" I asked carefully. "I don't know." She smiled at me. "Was it for you?" I looked at my little girl, at that hopeful face, and for one terrible second, I hated him more than I knew I could hate anyone. "No, baby, I don't think it was for me." She went back to her apples. I walked into the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and cried with my hand over my mouth. That night, David came home with Chinese food. Emma cheered when she saw the bag. He kissed the top of her head and asked about school, as if everything was normal, as a normal father and husband. But he was only a normal liar. We ate together at the kitchen table, while Emma talked about a boy in her class who tried to convince everyone worms had bones. David laughed. I watched him laugh with her, and that was the cruelest part. He wasn't a monster all the time. If he were, this would have been easier. He loved Emma. I knew he did. But apparently, love didn't stop him from using her backpack to hide evidence of betraying her mother. After dinner, Emma went upstairs to read. I took the receipt from the folder and placed it on the table between us. David looked at it, then at me. For 1 second, he didn't understand. Then he did. His face changed quietly, like a man watching the ground open under his feet. "Where did you find that?" "Interesting first question." He swallowed. "Sarah." "In Emma's backpack." The room went still. Even the refrigerator sounded too loud. David closed his eyes. That told me everything. Why was a hotel receipt in our daughter's backpack? He didn't answer. So I asked again, why was a hotel receipt in Emma's backpack? I panicked. That was what he gave me. Not I'm sorry. Not I hurt you. I panicked. You panicked, I repeated. I was going to throw it away. But instead, you put it in our daughter's backpack. I wasn't thinking. No, I said. You were thinking about yourself. He looked down. I pushed the receipt closer to him. The Grand Meridian Hotel, with champagne, a late checkout, and the anniversary package. He rubbed both hands over his face. It wasn't what you think. I laughed once. I couldn't help it. That sentence should be illegal after a certain point. What do I think? He looked confused. What? Tell me, what do I think? He said nothing. Because I think you told me you were helping your brother move a gray couch while you were downtown at a hotel with another woman? His mouth opened. Closed. Nothing came out. Am I close? He whispered, it was a mistake. A mistake is putting diesel in the wrong car. A mistake is forgetting a dentist appointment. You booked an anniversary package. He flinched. Good. I wanted the words to land. Who is she? He looked at the stairs. I lowered my voice. She's asleep. You don't get to use her as a shield twice. That was when he finally broke enough to say her name. Vanessa. Vanessa Cole. For a second, I couldn't place it. Then I did, and the room seemed to tilt. Ava's mother. A woman from Emma's school. A woman who had stood beside me at bake sales and laughed about how impossible the class group chat was. A woman who once held my umbrella during pickup because I had forgotten mine. I heard myself ask, Ava's mother? David looked sick. I stood so fast, the chair scraped the floor. You brought this into her school? No. You brought it into her life. It wasn't like that. There it was again. That magical sentence people use when the truth is too ugly to hold. It wasn't like that. As if changing the shape of a thing changed what it was. How long? He didn't answer quickly enough. How long, David? 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of pickup lines, birthday parties, parent emails, folding tables, paper plates, and Vanessa smiling at me while sleeping with my husband. I walked to the window because if I stayed near him, I was afraid of what I might say. Outside, the porch light flickered. A stupid detail. But I remember it clearly. Sometimes your mind grabs ordinary things when the truth is too ugly. David stood behind me. I was going to end it. When? Soon. Soon. The cousin of later. The place cowards put consequences. I turned around. You bought her an anniversary package. It was a joke. A hotel package with champagne and rose petals was a joke? He looked ashamed. Not enough. What were you celebrating? He didn't answer. Then I understood. 6 months. They were celebrating 6 months. I felt something inside me go completely quiet. You celebrated betraying me. His face crumpled. I'm sorry. Finally, there it was. Small, late, and totally worthless. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Then I called Vanessa. She didn't answer, so I left a message. My voice was calmer than I felt. Vanessa, this is Sarah. I found the Grand Meridian receipt. I know about you and David. Do not contact me through the school. Do not speak to Emma. Do not use your daughter to pass messages. If you need to say anything, say it through my attorney. Then I hung up with my hands shaking. But my voice on the recording wasn't. That made me proud in a way I wasn't ready for. Vanessa texted me 20 minutes later. I'm so sorry, it just happened. I stared at the words. It just happened. As if hotel rooms fall from the sky, as if champagne orders itself, as if people accidentally remove wedding rings, book rooms, lie to spouses, and slip receipts into children's backpacks. I screenshotted the message and added it to the file. David moved into a short-term rental 2 days later. Emma cried when he packed a bag. Not because she understood. Because children can feel endings before anyone explains them. I told her the only thing I could. Your dad and I are having grown-up problems, but none of this is your fault. She asked if he still loved her. That question almost killed me. I knelt in front of her and held both of her hands. Yes, he loves you very much. I hated that it was true, because love should have made him better. But love and loyalty are not the same thing. The divorce was not quick. Divorces rarely are. They are slow machines made of paperwork, bank records, custody schedules, and people asking questions with sad eyes. David tried to come back twice. The first time, he cried. The second time, he brought flowers. Neither worked. Vanessa's husband found out eventually. Not from me. From a hotel charge on their joint card. Different receipt. Same hotel. That almost made me laugh. Almost. Months later, while cleaning Emma's room, I found the drawing again. Best family ever. It was folded inside a box with old school papers. I sat on her bedroom floor and looked at it for a long time. There we were. 3 stick figures, hands connected, yellow sun, blue sky. A version of us that had existed in her heart. Maybe still did. I didn't throw it away. I couldn't. Some things are allowed to hurt and still be kept. A year later, Emma's backpack was different with a new color for her new grade. No hidden receipts. Every Sunday night, I still cleaned it out. Snack wrappers, drawings, permission slips, tiny rocks she swore were special. Normal things. Safe things. And every time my hand reached into the front pocket, I felt the memory of that folded paper. The Grand Meridian Hotel. 1 room. 1 night. Late checkout. Champagne. 2 breakfasts. Rose petals. A receipt hidden where no husband should ever place his lies. David thought I wouldn't look there. But mothers always look in backpacks. That was the thing he forgot. The hotel receipt was hidden inside my daughter's backpack. Between a spelling test and a drawing that said, "Best family ever," he remembered the room. The champagne. The lie about his brother. The anniversary package. The woman from our daughter's school. But he forgot one simple truth. A child's backpack always comes home to her mother. Another file closed. Another secret exposed. Subscribe to the Eris Files because every betrayal leaves a file.